Let's go. We're back.
Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to the latest edition of the Oregon Coast Artist Talk series. It is October 25th, a beautiful yet chilly fall day on the Oregon coast, and the parking lots are full with visitors already. My name is Tom Webb. I'm the director of the Newport Visual Arts Center for the Oregon Coast Council for the Arts, who are putting on this series of Artist Talks, 13-week series this fall. I am live streaming from the Newport Visual Arts Center in Nye Beach, and we have 4 panelists with us to talk about the state of the arts in Brookings, Oregon. We are live streaming via Zoom, and others are watching via either YouTube Live or Facebook Live, and you can comment or ask questions via the chat function. Our discussion today is focused on the state of the arts in Brookings, Oregon. Brookings is in the far corner of the state of Oregon, the far southwest corner. Let me give you a little bit of background on Brookings. Its current population is around 13,000. It is a major city in Curry County. It was named after John Brookings, president of the Brookings Lumber and Box Company, which was founded in 1908. It has recently been touted as a foodie town, which maybe we'll get to. And it has connections to Crescent City, as well as Gold Beach, Oregon, Crescent City, California, and Gold Beach, Oregon. So let me welcome our 4 panelists: Linda Evans, Leslie Wilkinson, Pete Chazar, and Dave Powell. Thank you all for being here. And then we also have Justin Gleason, who is our IT person on the line. Thank you all for being here. Let me go ahead and introduce Dave Powell. He studied fine art at Mesa Junior College in San Diego in the late 60s, before Vietnam and other issues interrupted the process. He was previously active in the San Diego Watercolor Society and is currently an exhibiting member of the Watercolor Society of Oregon. His works are available at venues along the Southern Oregon and Northern California coast. He is an active teacher and member of the Pelican Bay Art Association in Brookings. Dave, welcome.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about what's going on in your world right now, Dave.
Oh, well, we're on lockdown like everybody else. I was teaching a class. It was beginning to intermediate class, watercolors, and slowly but surely, as the virus continued, the class diminished. And so what I've decided to do is cancel the class, and the remaining students, I've brought us all over to the Manly PBAA Art Center, where on every Tuesday we have a collection of painters that all paint together and tell jokes, and it's a really good deal. And so we're all media now. So I'm still kind of in teaching mode because that's what I love to do. So the folks come around and and we exchange ideas and even touch base with the dark side, the acrylic and the oil.
Ooh.
Sorry, Peter.
And the painting behind you is in the current Oregon Coast Online Art Show, as I understand it. And,
no, that one is not. That's a different one. It's
okay.
Similar. I do a lot piece. Yes.
Similar piece.
But thanks for noticing.
Yeah. So Artist Talk series is also in conjunction with the Oregon Coast Online Art Show, which has over 160 artists, and works are still up and still for sale. Our next panelist is Leslie Wilkinson, and Leslie studied graphic design and digital photography and combines images of time and place with scanned items using various computer applications. The images are printed on transparency film to be transferred to unconventional surfaces using an alternative production process referred to as digital alchemy. Well, welcome, Leslie.
Hello, I'm happy to be here among all of these distinguished artists. I'm new to the field, relatively about 10 years, so I'm honored to be here today.
Leslie. Our third panelist is Pete Chazar, who's a Brookings-based painter of landscapes and seascapes. He's an author and a maker of geometric sculptures. He was on the design committee chair and the construction coordinator for the Brookings Welcome sign near Rainbow Rock. Pete has served as coordinator of the Brookings Second Saturday Art Walk and organizer of his art shows at the Brian Scott Gallery and Manley Art Center in Brookings, Gold Beach Books, and in Gold Beach. And in previous life, he was an advertising man. Welcome, Pete.
Thank you. Thank you. It's nice to be here. And I should warn everybody that I'm usually more animated than this, but my computer isn't operating correctly, and so my image is frozen. And lately, as Dave indicated, things have really quieted down. One of the disappointing things about the COVID-19 here is that we had a pretty good art walk scene going. We've been doing art walks here for like 17 years. And with COVID, they've had to immediately kind of shut down completely, but more recently, they've begun again on a limited basis. And one of the other things I'd like to point out is all four of us here in this program are members of Pelican Bay Arts Association, PBAA. And that's indicative of how important this organization is to the Brookings area.
Yes, absolutely. And we'll come back to that in just a minute here. That's going to be one of our primary topics of discussion. And I want to really thank our next panelist, Linda Evans, who has helped to organize this panel. And Linda lives in Phoenix, Oregon. She graduated with a BA in English and Art from UC Davis in 1970, having studied with world-renowned California artists Wayne Thiebaud, Manuel Neri, William Wiley, Roland Peterson, and others. For many years after that, her focus was on makeup artistry for major companies, Clinique, Shiseido, Chanel, and Aveda, and as an educator and retail business owner. Then in 2006, she made a major shift and decided to turn her life towards painting. Linda exhibits painting in both media and local and state galleries and competitions. She's won awards and press coverage for her personality series and was invited to participate in 2011's Shifting Patterns, Climate Change Explored Through Art. This year, long project was sponsored by the Oregon Arts Commission. So thank you, Linda, for helping put this all together. And maybe say a few words of welcome, and then we can start talking about the Pelican Bay Art Association.
Great, thank you, Tom, and welcome to everybody who's participating today and to everybody who is watching now and in the future. This video will be available for you. I do have to say that I moved to Brookings 2 years ago from Phoenix, Oregon. And when I got here, it was because of experiencing this coast for many, many years on vacation and finally deciding that this was the seascape landscape combo that I really was wanting to paint. My focus is on environmentalism, on appreciates appreciation of our beautiful nature everywhere in Oregon. It's stunning. Being a Californian, this is to me the way California used to be, particularly the San Francisco Bay Area where I grew up. And so it's a homecoming to be in Brookings. I felt very welcomed, and I really love the galleries here. I want to see us rise from the COVID. So that's the reason I wanted to promote this with you, Tom.
Yes, thank you. Let's open it up a little bit and talk a little bit about the Pelican Bay Art Association and the Manly Arts Center and what a cultural hub it has been for Brookings and Curry County. And we can talk a little bit about the programming in the past, as well as I know that you're going through some strategic planning. And so perhaps Pete can give us a little bit of history, and Leslie can help us with some of the current thinking.
Sure. First of all, the group goes back to 1955 when it was first established. So it's been here for a long time. Obviously, Brookings was a much different community back then. In fact, it was still primarily a logging and a fishing community. One of the early members was a lady named Virginia Manley, and her family had a home in the center of Brookings next to what is now a city park called Stout Park. In 1981, Virginia Manley donated her family's former home to the Pelican Bay Arts Association, and that is now the Manly Arts Center. And over the years, it's been expanded, remodeled, and improved. So now that it is a fairly extensive gallery with a large classroom and in a kind of park-like setting, which is really unusual for this kind of facility. And you talked about the programs, and they are many. It ranges from ceramics, and the ceramics are done in a ceramics room that has its own kiln. There's life drawing classes. There are, as Dave mentioned, open painting, open drawing classes. There's a photo club. Leslie, you want to add more things?
Yeah, there's a fiber arts that get together. The gallery changes shows basically every 4 weeks, featuring our members as well as some outside artists. And things were just clicking along pretty good, weren't they, Pete? And then
Yes, they
all
were.
of a sudden COVID hit.
Yes.
And
yeah.
it was a real shock. I came to Brookings after deciding that, much like Linda, I was ready to make the move to the coast. And I was just all geared up, ready to go, get things in the gallery. I was started to do some shows, and I got stopped in my tracks. A lot of my stuff happens at art festivals. And one of the things that PBAA does is a annual art festival in August, and obviously that didn't happen this year. So we were going along until COVID hit, and at the same time, we had kind of this gift that happened. In fact, it was a gift. Jay Mosby, a renowned watercolorist, passed away and left money to the Manly or to Pelican Bay. And it really couldn't have happened at a better time with so many galleries and so many organizations closing. We now had a nest egg to see us through COVID. And we all decided as a group, it was time to get some strategic planning. So what's going on now is this lengthy, month. Let's see, I think we're into it by month number 5 of planning, and we're just getting ready now to talk to the general membership about what we've discovered. And it's going to include some remodeling of the Manly itself and some repairs. We're talking about doing online classes and videos that we haven't done. We just did post our first online member show at our website. So there's lots of changes that are going to happen, and we're kind of excited. I mean, I guess COVID is kind of our pearl here. It's our chance to rebirth ourselves and come along for the next 50 or 60 years.
Right, that's exciting, and congratulations on and thank you to your recent patron. So give me a little bit more details about the Manley Center. So it's pretty much in the downtown area. Approximately how many square feet? How big a building is it? Do you own it out? Does the Pelican Bay Art Association now own it outright and things like that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we do own it outright. There's another benefit. There's no mortgage. So we can't get kicked out on the cold. Now, Pete, I know, was involved in a remodeling process several years ago, so he's probably got a better handle about the square footage.
Yeah, it's about 3,000 square feet, and about 1/3 of that to classroom, 1/3 to gallery, and the rest for ceramics and office space.
Wow. And it's all run by volunteers at this point through the Pelican
That's
Bay.
correct. That's correct.
Very impressive. And do you get pretty good visitor numbers with people coming through Brookings?
Well,
Yeah, we did. We did. Don't you think, Pete? I think there were a lot of visitors pre-COVID, definitely.
there were.
And gallery, that our artists are allowed to, quote, sell, obviously, through the gallery. So that was, money was moving in and out pretty good.
Right.
Yeah. The other thing we should point out, Tom, is that in addition to the activities that we've already talked about, there are two really major ones each year. And actually, I think there's more than two, but the Azalea Festival Art Show is a regional art show that the group has done every year for the last 40 or 50 years. And it's on Memorial Day weekend. And in addition, several years ago, we started what is called Festival of Arts in Stout Park. And that has worked out really nicely because that park is right next door to the gallery. Now that may change in the future, but that's worked out very, very well. And that new activity has become very popular.
Yeah, and that's a juried art show too, Pete. I think that's important for people to understand. It's, we're jurying the artists in, so you're getting some great quality work there.
Yes, yes.
Well, it's really exciting for everything that COVID has done. I think it has also allowed some time for arts organizations to step back and think about where they're going in the future. And Leslie, can you talk a little bit more about some of the ideas? You talked about improving the building physical space, maybe doing some online programming. But when you think about the next 5 to 10 years for the Pelican Bay Art Association and the Manley Center, are you thinking about maintaining things or growing? Of course, it's hard to know, but talk to me a little bit more about what the group is thinking about the future.
It's definitely about growth, and it's definitely about moving forward. We want to really expand what we offer to our members, not only just the classroom activities that happen on a weekly basis, but we'd like to see some visiting artists come in. We'd also like to set up the classroom where our own local members and community can come in for classes that we're going to televise in or video in from some real big name individuals. All of us here on this group today have spent thousands of dollars to go to workshops, and that's just not always possible for somebody. So if we can get 10 people in the classroom or more, and we can video in a guest artist to do a one-day workshop, that's really going to be important. We see that as a very big focus. The building, unfortunately, it's the old Manley homestead, and it did go through a remodeling process, but it does have a couple of issues that need to be addressed. And that's going to occur within the next 5 years for sure. And that will, hopefully, we're going to be able to get a grant too to add what we're going to refer to as an outdoor classroom space. One of the projects that we've had that we haven't mentioned here is CAP, which is the Children's Art Program. And that was going great gangbusters before everything happened with COVID. And we had children coming in and taking art classes from a variety of local instructors. And now we'd like to see that expanded to an outdoor area where the kids can get a little messier.
Right.
And if something happens, we've got an outdoor space for some outdoor activities. So that's one thing. And then I think the other thing that is of importance is kind of broadening who we are in the community. We've been kind of just the PBAA Manley group. And now we'd like to get into the community. We're talking about doing some outreach to the public school system because art is not always taught at all the levels, and coming in as outside instructors and networking that way. So that's something that we're also looking into, trying to get out a little bit more.
Right, and located there in Brookings, you can serve the local community, but you're also a hub for Curry County, and you're so uniquely situated on the Oregon coast and in Oregon. You're such in the far southwest corner of the state that I'm sure some people might feel that they're a little bit more part of California than Oregon, so to speak. And I know that you have connections with Crescent City and Gold Beach, and Linda had talked to me about the relationships with like Medford and Ashland. Maybe Linda, you can talk a little bit about the regionalism of Southwest Oregon and the arts communities and how you connect that way.
Well, you really hit it, Tom. In fact, I am a regional representative for the newly reformed Pastel Artists of Oregon Association. And that is out of Medford. It was formerly in Roseburg for many, many years. And since last fall, we have had a major event where it was a judge, Richard McKinley, who is a fine art painter, internationally known. He's the president of the International Association of Pastel Societies, and he judged our show. It was all done online. I also attend classes with him on Zoom every Wednesday. We have a group of 22, and we can easily do that out of the Manley Arts Center with, as Leslie mentioned, many of the fine teachers that are available. Our connections, Dave and I are members of the Gallery of Arts and Culture in Crescent City, and Barbara is the owner there, and you know, she does great art walk events every month. They're fantastic. There are plein air events in Mendocino that we can all participate in. They've been somewhat curtailed, but they still find ways to do them with our high-tech situation. And also Gold Beach has a couple of venues. They used to have more. Hopefully that will develop more in the future, but it's certainly a fine jaunt to go down there and also to paint, going there and coming back. The most beautiful sites in the Samuel Boardman State Park are right there.
I think Linda,
Yeah,
I
go
think
ahead,
Linda
Dave.
makes a good point about the beautiful spots. And I would expand that a little bit further, Linda, to from Brookings to Port Orford. We have perhaps some of the best coastal views on the whole Oregon coast.
Agreed.
And
Yes.
it's wonderful for a painter.
That's why we're here.
That's why
Yeah,
we're right.
I am a huge fan of the Southern Oregon coast, and Port Orford is one of my favorite destinations, and the seascapes and the sea stacks as you go south on the Oregon coast are just so dramatic in their beauty.
Like
It
the
is,
ones behind me.
it's a part of the state that I think more than any other probably relates to our neighbor to the south in California and the changing landscape of the Pacific coast, and you really feel it as you go down there. I'm wondering, Pete, could you talk a little bit about the history of Brookings' relationship to the arts, and a little bit about this, city's support of the arts? And I know there's a new initiative coming up to build a new community arts center, community center. Give us a little bit of Brookings is historically a timber town,
Right.
but
It's
it's
kind
been
of,
transitioning.
right. It's kind of an off again, on again relationship as far as I can tell. I was very involved with the city 10 or 12 years ago. In fact, at one time I was on 4 different city committees. We created a public art committee for the city. And as part of that, we helped to create a pocket park downtown, taking a vacant, really eyesore vacant lot and turning it into a little pocket park. And as part of that, we did a mural on one of the adjacent walls of the buildings. One of the concrete sculptors in town made a sculpture for that park as well. And the Lions Club and others have pitched in to do that. We have several murals around town that are pretty spectacular. In addition, you heard in my little bio about the welcome sign. The welcome sign committee was kind of an offshoot of the city and the Pelican Bay Arts Association. What happened is there are some people from the city, staff members, and members of PBAA that formed a welcome sign committee. We met regularly at the Manley Arts Center until we got that project done. And as far as I know, Leslie, part of the rental program for PBAA, the City Hall still has art from PBA members displayed at City Hall. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's still art there at City Hall, and there's a couple of businesses around. That's another program that we've had that kind of got curtailed with COVID that we'd like to ramp back up.
Sure. And I think I may have spoke about before, the library here, which is Chetco Community Public Library, has a large meeting room, which is a really wonderful venue for showing art. And normally we have shows there with 3 or 4 different artists. Each one has their own wall, and those shows change every month. And as I said, it's a really spectacular place to show your art. I think both Linda and Dave have shown their art there in the last couple of years and have been very happy with it. I know I'm happy with it. So
nice.
it's the other thing I should mention is, and this is a new program, Leslie, PBAA just did this year for the first time at the port of Brookings Harbor. Just across the Chetco River from Brookings is Brookings Harbor, or the port of Brookings Harbor. And we did an outdoor show there this year, very similar to what Bandon did, where we had paintings on pre-painted panels, plywood panels, 24 by 16, I believe was the size. And we got like 60 entries. And it was a very, very popular venue for people to visit, especially since a lot of the galleries were closed or semi-closed at the time. And it's been so successful that I believe we're going to do it again next year.
Yes, that's been announced to do Art at the Port will happen again for 2021. In fact, that'll be in the Pelican Bay newsletter, The Tide, that'll be coming out this week. We'll have a little blurb about it. So that is a definite go. And that launches, if I remember rightly, the installation is done by Memorial Day and then is taken down just shortly after Labor Day. And we actually had some contests this year and awards and cash prizes. And it's open for, you buy the panel. So it's kind of a first come, first serve with the panel. You pay your $10 for the panel, and there's youth as well as some seasoned artists. So it's open for everybody, and everyone that visited the port loved it. I will tell you, I heard from the port commissioners that was just a primo little deal.
Wow, that is a great idea for folks like us in Newport or other port towns on the coast to do art at the port. I love it. Who can talk a little bit more about this new proposed community center, which I guess understand will have potentially space for performing and visual arts? I guess it's not a bond initiative, but it's another effort to create a pretty significant new community space in Brookings.
Well, I think I probably can do that. I've gone to some of their meetings, and I don't know, Dave and Linda and Pete, were you there when they presented in the fall of 2019 to PBAA's meeting? I'm not too sure.
No, I was not. I
No.
know that this has been in the works for a long, long time. And but I haven't been to the recent meetings.
So it's called Beach, and it stands for Brookings Events, Arts, and Concert Hall Incorporated. So they have become an official nonprofit. And it's a group of citizens that have come together that are seeking to provide a venue for the arts as well as the community. And they're in the early stages, they're gathering funding, they're kicking around some ideas. But the thing I want to drive home about Beach is this is a dedicated, organized group of individuals that will make this happen. It may not be this year, it may not be next year, but I can see 5 years down the road that it could definitely become a reality. They're very dedicated. And if people want some more information about that, I do have their email address. I'll read that. It's Brookings, PACC@gmail.com. So it's Brookings, P as in Paul, A as in Apple, C as in Charles, C as in Charles @gmail.com. And Sonia, who is the president, her phone number is 541-846-8190. So I'm excited to see Beach here. I think there are lots of possibilities for the community, and I think it's going to happen. I feel real positive about it.
Yeah, that's exciting. And, we know how important physical facilities are, even though we're all learning to adapt to online facilities. But we are very fortunate in Newport to have both the Newport Performing Arts Center and the Newport Visual Arts Center. And for all of the communities along the Oregon coast to have their own facility for community and arts is really critical. And so we support those efforts. One thing I always hear about Brookings when I talk to people is that there's a very vibrant commercial gallery scene and community in the downtown cultural district. And Justin, I don't know if you have one of those photos of downtown Brookings that you can put up for people to look at, but it is a beautiful downtown Main Street community. And I understand the commercial galleries are reopening to a certain degree, and there are 4 or 5 of them at least. Who can talk to me a little bit about the commercial galleries and how they're drawing artists from all over the country? And
I would like to start that out. Whoops, we can all do that.
Well, because all 3 of us are in one of those, or at least one of those commercial galleries.
Right.
Why don't you go ahead?
The Brian Scott Gallery is the one Pete's referring to. Horst and Leslie Wolf own it, and the wonderful Paula Edwards manages it, a real manager. And Pete does a brown bag Thursday luncheon presentation every week until COVID started. And he covers artists living and in the past, and he covers architecture and very many interesting art subjects. It's really a community service, and it's free and fantastic. Also, we have Wright's Custom Framing. Dave shows there, and it also has art supplies, which we love. We need that in town, otherwise we've got to mail order. And also there is Spencer Reynolds Gallery, semi-aquatic. He is a surfer. He just carries his own art and a few craft items from other people, but it's a wonderful experience to go in there. I really recommend it, especially, you know, that surfs up feeling is very exciting to me. And we have Ambience by the Sea, which is gifts and decor, but she also features artists periodically with special events. Have I missed any, guys?
No, I don't think so. And I think one of the things that's important to say is both Wright's, especially Wright's, and semi-aquatic will do classes too. And Wright's has a big classroom, just I think as big as PBAA does.
Yeah.
And they have regular classes. So it's a very involved arts community. And right from the beginning, and I've been here 21 years now, I've always been impressed with how many wonderful artists there are here. And it's like, whoa, how did all these artists get here? Because it's such a small community. And the galleries are pretty darn good too.
Pete, I agree with you. And I think the link is good teachers. The more fine teachers we can cull from our community and bring over from other communities, the better we're going to get and the stronger.
Sure.
That's really a point that comes home to us here in Newport, because we have been really struggling in a way to find art instructors. And so if there are teachers out there, contact us or contact the Pelican Bay Art Association. One of the main focuses, I understand, in Southern Oregon is plein air painting. And Linda, do you want to talk a little bit about those activities?
Sure, I almost wore my hat today. I have a nice hat, and if you see me out there, you can come and talk to me because I'm pretty much at every single beach every week, at least 3 days a week for at least 2 hours, sometimes more, depending on weather, and everything is dependent on weather. It's very exciting to do. I do want to teach more classes in it. Dave is very experienced as well in it, and he teaches also. And outdoor events are really exciting. They have to be planned, and sometimes they have to be adjusted because of Mother Nature. But you couldn't find better subject matter. And we're open as teachers, both Dave and I, to all media. We can consult with people on all media. And we'd like to invite teachers to come who are experienced in their own specialties, such as oil. I do pastel and oil. Dave does watercolor. We'd like people with monoprinting, which actually can be printed inside a building and then taken outside and worked over with various dry media. So there's a whole panoply of things that can be done here, and we'd love to invite the people from the public who want to learn those things.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to add too about the educational thing. I had a grandson living with us 3 years ago, and he was enrolled in the high school here. And I was impressed, very impressed with the high school art program. And I forgot what the teacher's name was, but I just thought it was terrific that in a small area like this, there was such a nice art program. And in many other communities, art is being discontinued, but not here.
And it might be a good thing to say that PBAA each year awards a scholarship to one of those high school students that is going on with their art. So we try to cultivate that at the high school.
Yeah.
Right. Well, One of the things that I came to realize after moving here to Newport and becoming the director of the Newport Visual Arts Center and moving to the Oregon coast from Portland was the vital role of art associations and art guilds, if you will. There are certainly plenty of art associations and art guilds in Portland and other larger cities, but in coastal communities and more rural communities, the role of the art guild is really vital, not just for, well, for the arts, but for building community. And so I want to both thank all of you for being so involved with the Pelican Bay Art Association and do a shout out to all your members and to encourage people in the area in Southern Oregon to become part of the Pelican Bay Art Association, and ask, maybe Leslie to talk a little bit about how people can be involved now and going forward, not just as artists, but as community members and things like that.
Well, it can actually be pretty easy to do. I came to PBAA as an artist, and within a year and a half found myself in charge of Festival of Art in Stout Park. That was a pretty big shocker. But it was fine. It didn't hurt. And I really enjoyed it to do that in 2019. It's an all volunteer organization, and we need people to obviously support us in a monetary membership, which for an individual is just $35 a year. A family is $50. But more importantly, it doesn't take much just to sit at the gallery for a couple of hours, a couple of times a month. Maybe stop by and clean up the classroom. There in the strategic planning, we are definitely going to need some members to step forward, and the community to step forward with our renovations and upgrading of the building. I know Pete's going to be instrumental in that. So one of the most important things right now is to remember that the arts, just like in the Dark Ages, are what brought man forward into the light. And it's important that we remember that. In Brookings, we think of ourselves as a timber town. That is not true. Oregon by the Numbers, which is a book that's published each year, and if you're a grant writer, you're familiar with that. The biggest income producer in Curry County is food services, motel, hotel. That is the #1 employment industry in this county. And without the arts and the gallery supporting that, then it's all for naught. So anybody can go to our website, which is pelicanbayartsassociation.org, and contact us that way. We're renovating our site as well. It's a busy time. Or they can stop by the Manley Center. Usually there's somebody hanging around there about noontime, Tuesday through Saturday. And that's located at 433 Oak Street. That's just one block off of Highway 101 on the corner of Oak and 101. And it's a great time to get involved and join in. We're in the beginning processes of planning the art show at Memorial Day, as well as the festival which is the first weekend in August. So it's a great time to get involved.
Right. I think it's important to remember that Brookings is one of the larger towns in Curry County, and Curry County has a lot of challenges and a lot of opportunities at the same time, but the county has been, I think it's fair to say, somewhat reluctant to fund community services, and that the arts, as Leslie reminds us, are critical. And the Pelican Bay Art Association is not just supporting Brookings, but the broader, both Curry County and, as we talked about earlier, extending down to like Crescent City and up to Gold Beach. And so if you're a citizen of Gold Beach or Crescent City, it's important for you to think about becoming a member of the Pelican Bay Art Association. And Um,
That's well said, Tom. I'd just like to add, you mentioned the population of Brookings. It's about 13, 14,000 in our little metro area, and the entire county is only 23,000. So
Right.
we are definitely the biggest. And one other little plug I'd like to get in, you started this conference with what the weather was like in Newport. Well, here today, in the banana belt of Oregon, it's 64 and sunny,
Right.
which is another reason for being an artist here.
Yeah, another reason for transplanting from Newport to Brookings is a little bit warmer weather. Yeah, it's a wonderful area, and I encourage people to visit and to support what you all are doing. Next week, we're going to be doing a similar panel discussion, but it will be the state of the arts in Astoria. So from Brookings to Astoria, we are covering the entire Oregon coast. I want to thank everyone for being here. Anyone have any final comments or comments?
I want to go ahead.
I just like to say, I'd like to say thank you again to Tom and the whole Oregon Arts, Coastal Arts, for sponsoring these events. I've learned so much about so many different communities. I'll be fascinated to tune into Astoria as well next week. So, and thank you for Justin, our IT consultant. Excellent work.
Yeah, that's a good point, Linda. People can go and watch the rebroadcasts of the panel discussions from Tillamook and artist talks and artist studio tours. So yeah, it's been wonderful, and we'll keep it going.
And I'd like to think.
All right, I'll go before. I guess we'll do Beauty Before Age. How's that, Pete?
Yes.
I also would want to say, Tom, that you have taught PBAA something today.
Oh,
and that is that we can move forward with this IT thought process and really start servicing our members as we have intended. Just asking Justin before we got online about how the YouTube channel gets set up. So I think that your organization gets a big pat on the back for being the leader here, bringing us all together. We've heard we're all in this together. You're actually practicing that, Tom. You're definitely all in this together with us. So appreciate it.
And
well,
I'd like to thank Dave for not talking too much.
How could I? How could I get a word in? Oh, the one thing I wanted to say, Tom, is that actually, I think it's going to be closer to 70 degrees today. We have the Chetco effect, which is like a little Santa Ana condition that is like what happens down in Southern California, but it's not quite as warm. But it is truly a real phenomenon that happens here. And I was always like, but when I moved here, it's real. And, I'm still in shorts and walking the beach barefooted. Anybody wants to come and visit, come on, and you have some nice weather to check out all our art here. And thanks everybody for watching.
I love that term. I think I heard the Chetco effect, which is the great thing about Brookings is you can feel like you're living in California, but you're still in Oregon.
Yes.
Yes.
But anyway, thank you all. It's been a pleasure to check in, and I encourage all of our viewers to stop in at Brookings, and they're doing wonderful things from an art standpoint. And we will continue these discussions.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Have a great afternoon.
You too.
Thanks, Justin.